Hello! Today I'm going to teach you how to make this elegant snowflake design using oil pastels. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you get to use a ruler too. Or at least a piece of paper that looks like a ruler. We'll see. It'll work out. Look at that. I can't wait to see what you come up with, because this is one that you can do over and over and over again in January to make lots of different color combinations and have lots of delightful artistic snowflakes. Let's get started. Those of you that might be inclined to get a little nervous when you see measuring devices, try not to panic because I'm going to make this as easy as possible for you. First of all, a snowflake has 6 axes. That means that because a circle is 360 degrees, if you divide 360 by 6, then the angle will be 60 degrees. Now, you don't have to have one of these to do this, because I have figured this out for you. So I'm just going to put that away so you don't have to worry about that. Normally, when I have us do a project, I say tape it down. But today, before we tape it down, we have some important things to do. I have this ruler from Office Depot. And so first I'm going to measure and make sure that my paper truly is 8 by 10. So we have 8 by 10. Fabulous. Okay, that's important. And then on this short side, I'm going to go to 4 inches. So I'm going to make a mark here at 4 inches, just like that. And I'm going to make a mark over here at 4 inches. All right, but I am not going to make a mark in the midpoint on the long side, because we're not going to have an 8-sided shape or a 4-sided shape. We're going to have a 6-sided shape. So I'm going to zoom in very closely on my ruler, and also notice that 0 starts here. So when you measure, don't go all the way to the end of the wood on this ruler, because it's printed in such a way that it starts at the first line. So that is 0. And then you can see it has this helpful thing that each of those itty bitty things is 1/16 of an inch. So that means there are 16 of those from 0 to 1, and there's 16 more from 0 to 2. And we want 10/16. So see how I drew a little point right there? So you want 2 inches and 10/16. And you may say to yourself, nah, I'm really good at averaging. Like, can't we just average, Miss Alayne? Can't we just make it 2.5 or 2 3/4? Well, you can try it if you want to, but I don't think it's going to work out well for you, because we need 6 equal angles of 60 degrees. So 10/16 is going to work good. And so we're going to take our picture and we're going to find this corner and we're going to line up that with the edge there. And we're going to put a point right at 10/16 on the side of our paper right there. So it'll be right there on the side of our paper. See that? Okay, got that there. All right. Then you're going to go from this corner, and we're going to do the same thing. So this time I'm going to line that up right there, and I'm going to put a dot right there. All right, so we have 2 10/16 there. We have 2 10/16 there. We have 2 10/16 here, and 2 10/16 there. All right, so that's all the crazy measuring. And honestly, that's easier than it would have been otherwise. All right, so now I'm gonna go diagonally, and I'm gonna connect this dot to this dot like this, and we're gonna press gently, very gently. So we got that line, and then we're gonna make an X by connecting this one and this one. Yep. And then what should happen, if all goes well, if all your measurements were good, when you put your ruler to connect here and here, then you should be in the middle or very close to the middle right there. So it intersects like that. So, whew. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a circle's 360. So 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60 equals 360. Whew. Good job. Good job, everyone. Now that we've found our 1, 2, 3 lines that make 6 lines, we will be taping it to another piece of paper. But because I don't want these lines to show up under my tape, I'm going to take my eraser and erase in a bit on the 4 sides so that I can put the tape there and it not keep some pencil line trapped under the tape. And you might think to yourself, well, I'll just put the tape on now and I can erase that pencil later because I don't know how far I'm going to put my tape on. Well, because we're using oil pastels with this project, and oil pastels are very smeary and they get into things, and they especially like to damage erasers with their oily goodness, I recommend that you do it this way because this is the more fail-proof, and you'll see. Okay, so now that I've erased, I stick my tape right there. I do appreciate when you think a lot, so thinking is good. I just caution you to do it this way on this one. And remember, whenever I tell you stuff, usually I'm just telling you one way to do things. So yes, you can think of lots of ways to do things. I've just spent some time and thought thinking about how best to teach more beginners how to do things. So you can see here, I will get my 60 degrees, 0 to 60. Great, okay. So yes, if you have one of these, you can play with that, of course. All right, so now I am taped down and ready to begin drawing my snowflake design. We know that snowflakes have 6 axes, and we know that no 2 snowflake is exactly alike. A lot of stuff happens, so if our snowflakes are not exactly alike, that's okay too. We also know that our 8 by 10 piece of paper is going to be longer in one direction than it is in the other direction. And so what I want to do is take one of my sides, so maybe this one for instance, and measure from the center out to the end. And I think since I had a 2 and 10/16 side and 4 goes all the way my tape, I want to have room to do stuff. I instead will go maybe to 4 and 3/4 this time. So this one will be how long I will make each one. So I'm just going to put a mark out there so that it's 4 and 3/4. So now I've got to pick up my ruler, plant it here, come out here and mark the 3/4 line there. This is going to help the outside of the snowflake to be equidistant. So not just the angles, but the outside. So see, we'll be erasing even more of that line now. I probably could have done that before, but you know what? I didn't measure till just now. Sometimes I do things right while I'm doing it. But this way you can see my thought process on this part. There we go. So that means everything outside of those little marks, I'm going to make go away. There we have it. It kind of reminds me of something I see in the eye exam room. Okay, so now we're going to connect the outside of this and make a really delightful hexagon. All right, so I'm just making sure that my ruler has a straight edge side on it and kind of go from there to, oops, there to there. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Now, about half of you are going, yay, finally, we get to use rulers. And the other half of you are going, oh my, this is way too tedious for me. So either way, the ones that are happy now, you might be disappointed later because we are going to use oil pastels, and all this precision isn't going to matter terribly when we get those chunky oil pastels in our hands. But this is just a great place to start, and I will let you know when we reach a crossroads where you can make new decisions. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use the width of our ruler to create lines going across. So we're going to start here and go this way and put our ruler on there and go this way, and then we're going to stop. Okay, now the reason I didn't keep going is because the width of our ruler isn't going to work out, so I want just 2 lines from each side, because see, now I'll start on this side and do 2 lines, 1, 2, and you'll see in the middle, this one is bigger than my ruler, or it would be smaller than my ruler. So we'll just do that to start with. So you'll notice it looks wider and then it gets narrower there. So that's from those 2 sides. And now let's do the next set of 2 sides. So we're creating for ourselves a space in which to kind of create our own snowflake fractal idea. So we've got 1 and 2, and you know what? I need to turn it upside down because I can't see over that little ledge to make sure that I've got my ruler lined up. But this way I can be sure I'm lined up. And I'm not pressing with all my might, I'm just using very gentle pressure because I want to be able to erase later, because these are just helping lines. All of these are helping lines. Woo. So we went that way and that way. Okay, so now we need to go this way. And you guessed it, I'm going to come around to this side and get this side. And now we have a great grouping of helping lines, and because whatever we do in this triangle, we have to do in all of them. It will repeat. So if you do something here, then you have to do it 5 more times. We have to have 6 total. So that will really help us when we're designing our snowflake. You can either follow me on my design, or you are welcome to do your own design work. So I'm going to start at the farthest out points, and I'm going to turn these into diamonds. I've got my eraser stick so that I can erase this out of inside of here. So remember I said, don't press with all your might. It's because I knew this moment would come. So I'm going to get those out. And then I'm going to create like an opening that I think will be interesting, because with snowflakes, negative space is going to be just as interesting as the positive space. So I left that center line in there long enough that I could get that diamond shape. And now I will erase that center line out. All right, I'm happy with this design. So now I want to do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more times. All right, we're all done around there, and you'll notice that the spacing in this is about 1/4 of an inch. See, 1/4 of an inch. You really don't want to get it much smaller than that, because using a crayons, it's very difficult to color in tight spaces. And so we want to keep all of our open spaces at least that wide. All right, now I'm looking at the center. So I've got my edges where I'm headed, and I'm looking at my center, and I can see a very cool 6-pointed star in here. Do you see this one? So we're going to go around and make that a little darker. I'm still not pressing hard. I'm just making repetitive marks to make it darker. This is really important because we don't want any grooves in our paper yet that would show up when we use our oil pastels. So we have this lovely 6-pointed star now, and I want to create a triangle vacancy much like this in this space. So I will go around 6 times now and do that. Before I do any erasing, now I'm going to create another smaller hexagon in the middle by putting a line across here. I'm not sure yet if I want to save these lines in the center so that I can do different colors. I might erase them later, but right now I want to erase all the helping lines out of the inside of this 6-pointed star. Next, I want to connect my outside diamonds to my center interest. So this is the helping line, and I want to put a line on either side of my helping line and erase out the middle. And of course, we will do that 5 more times. This is all erased. And now I want to put something interesting in this space. I've decided to be parallel to this line and make another shape that kind of comes out to my exterior line. So notice how that is parallel to that is parallel to that, and then I'm going to go again with another point inside. Then I'll erase all the helping lines and repeat 5 more times. All right, I've been all the way around, so you can see we have some very good radial symmetry going on here. That's what it's called when it copies itself around a circle. I have decided I'm going to get rid of these middle ones. I've cleaned up pretty much all of my helping lines now, but I wanted to get rid of that. I decided to have that empty. You can decide to keep it if you'd like. So now I have all the lines that I'm going to have on this snowflake design. You could have a different design. This is the one I'm going with today. And then you can see I'm just going to use my regular pencil. I could have used a mechanical pencil. I could have used the green pencil that you got in your kit one time. Because now, one of the things that oil pastels and drawing can do And it's usually something that we do not like. So throughout this drawing, I've said gentle, gentle, gently draw gently, please be gentle. Because we wanted to be able to find where we wanted to go without having deep grooves in our paper. But now I'm going to make deep grooves in my paper on purpose because I think that will look really fun on this project. So you can see I'm going to trace with authority and really outline everything with my regular pencil. So this is not a Sharpie thing because I'm hoping to create nice grooves in my paper. And I think that will be really interesting with this project. And so what it is whenever you get a new art supply or even an old art supply, when it does something and you notice it, try to think of a way to make that thing that it does actually happen on purpose and in a way that you like. Because not all the art supplies do that. So something's weakness can also be its strength. So that's what we're going to try to do. Try to create something using those little indelible valleys. So here we go. I guess I'll have to sharpen that again. And this is what our snowflake looks like when I pressed really hard and traced nice deep grooves into our picture. So now we're going to take our eraser and we're going to erase everything. Erase, erase, erase. And you'll notice that we made indelible marks. That those dark lines that we made are not going to go away all the way. So we want to erase as good as we can. And then you'll probably see these ghost lines when you're finished. And this is what it looks like after I've erased the whole page. I've even erased all the way to my four corners that are far away from any lines because it got rid of any of that pencil smudge that was on the paper. And you can see these are my ghost lines showing. This is nice because we didn't really want a solid black line like you would get from a Sharpie, but we did want to know where the edges of our snowflake were. So this is great. And now we're ready to get set up for the coloring. So I'm going to set it aside and then we're going to get out our crayons. We have a 25 color set of crayons. And what I'd like for you to do is divide it up between warm colors and cold colors. So like our reds and our pinks and our oranges and our yellows will be the warm colors. Our blues and our purples and our greens are going to be our cool colors. That's probably a good amount. We don't have to use all of them, but you can if you want to. It's good to give yourself the choices. And then, of course, you have a white one that you'll be using later, but not right away. The neutrals, the grays, the browns, and the blacks, we're not going to worry about those. And the colors mixed with white, this is like a white color. We don't really need that one, but if you did, it would be over here in the warm color section. All right, so we're going to get those on our two sides. All right, so now we have to make a decision. Our decision is, will the positive space be the warm colors, or will the negative space be the warm colors? Well, I think today I'm going to go with the negative space being the warm colors. It could go either way, but what that means is that the snowflake itself, which is the positive space, will have these colors in them. And the background, which is all the holes and spaces not the snowflake, will be the warm colors. Now that I had them divided between warm colors and cool colors, I decided to simplify a little bit. So I made myself narrow it down to 5 colors each. So I put back the ones I'm not using, and I tried to organize these. So I've got purple, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, pale blue, and green on the cool side. And I have pink, red, orange, orange, and yellow on the warm side. And now I'm going to start with not the snowflakes. I'm going to start in the middle, and it's just going to work its way out and kind of resemble, I think it's going to resemble a kaleidoscope a little bit because of the radial symmetry, but also the bright colors. So you can see I'm going on the negative space, the parts that are not the snowflake. Put a little of that there. I'm going to switch to this one, kind of come around the edges. And you'll notice when I hit those pencil edges, the craypa will not go in there, which is pretty entertaining. And it's difficult to stay really carefully in the lines. So close enough counts. So those of you that were very excited when I had you using a ruler earlier, this is not that kind of precision anymore. But the important thing is that you try to match going around the circle still, even though we're not in the snowflake. But in the background, I'm still using kind of a radial symmetry idea. Though, you know what? You don't have to. We could have just done lines and have a whole line of each of the warm colors kind of playing in the background. That would have worked too. But I decided to stick with the radial symmetry kind of thing. I'm gonna go this way next. Kind of connecting the colors a bit as I come out. Obviously, I'm not going for something realistic per se, even though I made us have 60-degree angles on our snowflake. I'm going to be colorful and abstract, but really fun. All right, now I'm finished coloring with all my warm colors. I've got some little schnoodlins in there from where I pressed kind of hard on this one. And so you can see the negative space is all colored with warm colors. I could have used any warm color I wanted. I could have actually decided to do cool colors in the background. You could see this project you can do again and again with so many different shapes and colors and options. This is just one way to do it, not the way to do it. So now I am ready to start with my snowflake part. So I'm going to start with my purple. And I'm going to find my line on my snowflake, and I'm going to start by tracing where those indelible lines are. We'll go around the edge with my purple. I know it looks quite bright, right? Quite bright. And I've got the purple next to yellow because they're complementary colors, which is interesting. And I think I will go in a bit farther now that I've made it all the way around. Go in at least that far with my purple. You can see that I haven't filled in with color. I've just gone on the edges. And sometimes they get squeezy close together like there, and that's fine. So not a problem with that. And I'm just going to continue like this all the way around. I'm going to go this far in, so 2 more with the ultramarine blue. There's really not enough of a color difference for me to worry about going too far in with the cobalt blue, so I'm just going to do these little stem areas here. Maybe it'll be more noticeable later. All right, and then the light blue, I'm going to go around and even the triangle because we only have green left, so I'm going to save that for the middle. And it's getting tighter, and now you'll thank me for not letting you go smaller than 1/4 of an inch, because this is a bit trickier. And last but not least, the green around the center aperture here. All right, so that is a great start. Cool colors inside, warm colors on the outside. And now we're going to get our white crepa. And because I am excited about it, I'm going to start with the snowflake first. So the idea is that this white will mix inside, pick up some of that color that we already put on the edges. So you don't have to go all the way into your little trough that you made, but it will look nice and painterly. And so we're going to do all the purple parts first. And let me just zoom in on that so you can see the color. That's not just plain white. It gets some of that purple color in it. But also I don't go all the way entirely on the purple line. So kind of leave that edge there. So let's do that on all 6 sides. Using a lot of repetitive coloring to get it to pick up that purple as I go around. I've made it all the way around the purple parts, and now I'm going to venture into the blue parts. Same thing, I'm coloring in the middle, but I'm picking up some of the blue from the edges, like this. And I'll work my way around. And now I've made it to the light blue, and it's funny because the white on the regular blue looks a lot like the light blue now, but let's see what happens when we actually go on the light blue. Will it get a little different? Let's find out. We almost have to do the green at the same time, because when we get in here, I guess I could go around the outside and then work in the middle. Let's do that. Let's go around the outside first so we don't get green where we don't intend for it to be. All right, and now for the green. All right, so the snowflake part has now been thoroughly colored with the white. And now we're ready to talk about how to handle the background. So we're pretty much going to do the same thing in the background that we did in the snowflake, but we can't just go color, color, color over the whole thing because we're going to lose the fun blends that we did. So it's important to be very methodical when you're doing the blending. And so here I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to go on the pink, but I'm not going to cross over the line and get into the snowflake. So we're going to make the whole thing kind of white and frosty now. If your white was like really messy from the green, I would clean it off before I started this so that I don't get those cool colors inside of my warm colors. So you can see I'm coloring right on top. Oh, and if you have a lot of schnoodlings, you can do this. Tap, 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 tap to get all those bits to fall down. Or you can kind of loosely brush them off. If you press hard and brush, then they'll draw on things. So you gotta loosely brush them off. All right, back to coloring. These colors will be made into a new color with the white on them. Be very methodical and go in each section at a time. Okay, and I'm ready to be inside of those. Now I can just go around the outside. And then we just have the pink and the red to go. So here I go. I'm going to go out here on the pink. You know, I never get upset when color gets in things. It just ends up being great. The white on the red becomes a darker pink. All right, we did it. And that is how we make this beautiful artistic snowflake. Now, I can't wait till our meetups because I'd like to see if you tried different color combinations, if you went with the warm colors on the snowflake and cool colors in the background, if you drew a totally different snowflake using our helpful grid with those 60-degree angles. Like, what else did you come up with? Did you do smaller spaces? Did you do larger spaces? You can really populate your house with a lot of different kinds of snowflakes, for sure. And you notice I didn't use Prussian blue this time. It's so weird. You know how I love Prussian blue. And probably I can just, now that I'm all done with it, I can sign it with my pencil right on top. 2022. There we go. Nice. And then we'll remove our tape below. And at a right angle, there's nothing else that has to happen to this. I would recommend that you clean your fingerprints before you touch that beautiful white edge though, because that would get really dingy really fast. So I'll be careful. I'll hold it on the actual art part. Oops. And last but not least, okay, it gets trickier when it tears. There we go. Got it. Ta-da! A nice, beautiful, warm-looking snowflake for January.